that was, and I think you and I are largely agree with the circumstances in Israel after 10/7 and the Gaza war and the prime minister and how that migrated into Midnight Hammer. And of course, the Iranian war. And you don't have the kinds of energy and outrage on the left after Iran just massacred 30 or 40,000 of its young people and now are actively now torturing, beating, and hanging teenagers right now, executing these people. No outrage. And that's really, maybe that's part of the fracture in my party. And that's probably how I explain.
And those outrages that you speak about, those atrocities, those are only the outrageous, new, visible ones. What about the everyday atrocity that was living in under the Iranian regime? Now, people compare it to the Iraq War. In some ways it is, in some ways it isn't. Iraq and Iran are quite different countries, Sunni and Shiite. One, I'm sorry, but just way more sophisticated than the other, and that would be Iran. Iran, under the Shah, yes, he was a dictator also, but it was a fairly Western country. It's a very sophisticated population.
Have you seen the pictures? I looked through a catalog of pictures of the Iranian society in the 70s. Before it's Western.
Yes.
And women are able to dress effectively the same way.
Yes.
And it's so radical. That's the society. And when I spend time here in LA, I constantly encounter members of the Iranian community, and they are all they're once supportive of my views, and they all understand how awful the Iranian regime is, and how evil, and they want, you and I, free Palestine. No, where's the protest? Free Iran, free Iran. Why can't we have a free Iran? Why does that come from? And that is absolutely.
But what are we going to do about it now that it has devolved into this stalemate? I mean, just yesterday, first they announced the war part is over. We were on to Project Freedom, which is just about opening the strait. And that lasted like an hour. And they stopped doing that because I think what Trump fears a lot right now is he doesn't want one of our boats to get sunk. That would
absolutely.
And that could happen.
If it has to be a perfect war, in terms of that, people have forgot the brutality and real loss for that, and then that I think that's what defines that. I was so nervous and just following that so closely about rescuing the pilot. That would have turned the entire energy of that if the Iranians would have got to them.
Yes.
And can you imagine? I mean, they're making Lego videos for propaganda. Can you imagine if they had an American pilot?
I can, because I saw Owen Wilson in Behind Enemy Lines.
Exactly. Yeah,
that is that exact movie.
And that's I think that's part of the energy. But I think what's accomplished with Epic was very important, and it's astonishing to what they've been able to do. But overall, right now, it would be a huge loss if you don't walk away now without requiring them to produce their nuclear material.
I don't know how, I don't know how you can force them, because they've kind of shown we can take your best punch. And let's be honest, the reason why you and I both supported this war as a thing to be done, none of those objectives have been achieved. It's not a different regime. It may in fact be a worse regime, because now the Revolutionary Guard probably is in command directly, as opposed to having the mullahs above them, wink, wink, but they were really in command. But whatever it is, it's not the people we want who took over. The protest from the people rising didn't happen. I've been saying that's because they missed their window. They should have attacked Iran while the people were in the streets. They let the people get slaughtered in the streets.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably the top echelon of the people who you want to be in the streets, the bravest ones. They killed them all.
What's so disappointing to me is, where is the global nation community, demanding Iran at this point? It's like this idea, like this, every Democrat, you can't ever let them build a bomb, and here
No.
we're here at the cusp. When would you ever have that opportunity to do? And so if now the Democratic Party and a lot of the media has trained the Iranian regime, it's like, we just have to hang on one more day, one more day. We have to, because eventually people will lose their focus and just give up. And that's, I think that's the tragedy right now.
But how do you, I mean, again, the objectives, the people didn't rise up, the regime isn't changed. We don't have the nuclear weapons 100% secured. And then the Strait of Hormuz, which wasn't even on the table before the war. It should have been as an issue. So we lost the three things we wanted and gained one fourth one we didn't want. Yeah, we knocked out most of their military stuff. Okay, that's all to the good. But how do you actually get this nuclear dust, he calls it, whatever it is? We probably knocked out some of it with the bomb back in July, the big bunker buster bomb, but we don't know. Apparently, we probably didn't, because we're doing this. We don't know unless we are actually in that mountain. And how do you get in that mountain? They have a 1 million-man army that hasn't been talked about a lot, but they do have an army. So if you're going to look at that mountain and what's in it, somehow you're going to have to secure that area, which means I think you're going to have to fight this 1 million-man army, and you don't want that, right?
Well, what I'm saying is that where we at right now. Remember back 2 years ago in 2024, and Sinwar was alive, and the majority of the hostages were kept underground, and our party was demanding for a ceasefire. And what Israel realized, that we have to break and destroy Hamas, and we have to break and do the same for Hezbollah, and they've done that. And then they knew, they all understand history. A country can't fight two wars on two fronts at the same time. So after they neutralized those two, they were able to go after Iran, and then everything changed with Midnight Hammer, and they were able to significantly damage their nuclear facilities. Now, if there was a ceasefire, and now where would Iran's nuclear bomb be right now? 2 years after that, if there was that ceasefire that we all demanded, and where would Hezbollah? Hezbollah would have hundreds of thousands of rockets able to fire on will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and things that we would never tolerate in our nation. I had a room as Israeli politicians. I'm like, have you ever been in your bomb shelter in your home? Everyone hand goes up, and I'm like, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
And now Democrats are voting against supporting the Iron Dome and those purely defensive things for Israel, and that's the betrayal, and that's heartbreaking to me. These were our core values, and that's part of this fracturing, and maybe that's why I've lost support in part of the Democratic Party.
Me too. I mean, we're exactly the same way on this. We're really walking hand in hand.